Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Chaotic Tavern. I'm your bartender, Dan, and I have a story to share with you. Apologies if this video comes off a little more unhinged than usual. I'm writing this without my make my brain work good pills after an exceptionally crappy day at work. It's hard being the bartender at this place. We don't call it the Chaotic Tavern for nothing. Half the clientele here are about as pleasant as a chainsaw colonoscopy, and the other half, they seem to suffer from some sort of developmental disorder. I don't know which one it is, but it makes them smell like SpaghettiOs, if that helps narrow it down any. Speaking of people who just can't seem to learn any better, I'd like to take a moment to talk about D&D players. It's no secret that this hobby can draw in some interesting folks. And just because something is interesting doesn't make it good. A man with chainsaws for hands and an endless craving for violence is real interesting, but you probably don't want to observe him from close by. But what if, dear listener, instead of using hardware hands to bust down your door and open up your chest cavity, someone was a bit more subtle? What if someone was hacking into your campaign notes and documents and world info for your D&D games and was just changing shit at random? What if this person did this repeatedly? And what if this person, when confronted, just could not care less? Well, don't worry. Today, I'm gonna share a tale with you about that very, very specific thing. Today's story is titled, "A Player Was Sneaking Into My Notes and Changing Things to Make Himself Come Out Looking Better," by Zealous Joke. This is messed up. Really, it's so messed up. I've been a DM for as long as I can remember, and I love playing TTRPGs. I've been friends with this group for, gods, who even knows how long? Decades at least. We usually play D&D together. It's my go-to group. It's a bigger group than recommended, 7 players in total, but since we've been playing together so long, it actually runs pretty smoothly. When we first started, we didn't have nearly as much content as we do now. So back then, I created a homebrew world. It's been growing and evolving over at least 2 decades now. It's my project, and I take a lot of pride in it. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's the best I could do. I've kept tons of notebooks over the years to keep everything consistent, but in the last year or two, the sheer number of them got, well, pretty cluttered. So, I finally decided to organize everything digitally. I started using Notion. Sorry if I'm not supposed to name it. It's a bit clunky at first, but once it's set up, it's amazing. I can't believe I didn't switch to it sooner. Anyway, that's not the main point of the story. I use Notion for everything. World building, session notes, campaign plots, archives, it does wonders. It makes my life easier. And I can access it from pretty much anywhere. Now, on to the real story. About 3 months ago, our group hit some major scheduling issues, and we couldn't play for a while. We went nearly 2 months without a session. Thing is, the break happened after I'd already written up the notes for our next session. Nothing new there, right? Scheduling issues are the bane of TTRPGs. But about a month ago, we finally managed to set up a session, so I went back to my notes to refresh my memory, and that's when things felt off. Some things weren't exactly how I remembered them. Bullet points, loot lists, NPC interactions, etc. Even the way it was written, it all seemed a little different. It wasn't that different from what I remembered, but just enough to feel off. I figured it was just my mind playing tricks on me, and ignored it. I made a few tweaks I thought needed more attention, and that was that. 2 weeks later, we had our session coming up, so I went back to my notes to check everything, get the minis ready, the maps, etc., and once again, things were different. Stuff I knew I'd changed had reverted back. Let me paint a picture. The changes all leaned towards certain outcomes. I don't usually set things up like that, so it felt wrong. I made all my changes again. When we finally met for the session at a friend's place, things went smoothly for the most part, but a few things caught my attention. One player, who's normally the most outgoing, was acting a bit strange. You know when someone seems anxious or expectant, like they're waiting for something specific to happen? It was like that. He didn't say anything, but I got the feeling he was expecting something particular to happen. And when it didn't, or didn't happen the way he wanted, he looked frustrated. I thought it was strange, but honestly, everyone's under different kinds of stress, so I didn't dwell on it. I went home that day and got on Notion to write up what happened in the session for my archives. The next day, I pulled out my phone to check a few things. My mind wanders sometimes. I opened the archive for that session and it was altered again. That's when I was sure something was up. Oh, that's unsettling. That's real unsettling. Like, I've had nightmares about that sort of thing. Not about my D&D notes specifically, but like just going through my files and noticing someone's been rummaging around in there. Full disclosure, I've got nothing to hide on my computer, but if I knew someone was going through my stuff and making changes willy-nilly, I'd be having some sort of mental episode. No joke, this is actually one of the worst parts of coming home to discover someone has broken in and robbed the place while you were gone. There's a feeling of safety and sanctuary in your home that, once violated by someone, can be really hard to get back. And if you think that it's not that big of a deal, hand your phone over to the friend you like the least and let them do whatever they want with it for an hour. Trust me, it messes with you. I asked a friend who works in programming if there was any way things could change on Notion by themselves. Maybe their servers were acting up or something. He took my laptop and the first thing he checked was the list of devices with access to my account. There were 4. My laptop, my phone, my tablet, and another laptop I didn't recognize, which had logged in that day. As you can imagine, that was absolutely terrifying. I don't want anything on my Notion exposed. It's my work, and I don't want anyone else looking at it. So, we did a full reset. Changed my passwords and everything. My friend even went the extra mile and reformatted my laptop and reset all my devices, which sucks, but hey, security first. Well, there wasn't much more we could do after that. My next D&D session was coming up, so I went to work on it. That's when, out of nowhere, I remembered that player's odd behavior. It bugged me. So I decided to check my archives, my world notes, everything. And holy hell, it was everywhere. Everywhere I looked, things were changed to make his characters, yes, plural, look better. He'd even edited full-on epilogues, calling his character the party's brain and leader and so on. Nope, straight to jail. No trial, no bail. Lock this creep away, put him in a very special jar, and leave him unattended at your local anime convention. That's beyond disgusting behavior. That's the sort of thing you expect to hear or see in one of those really crappy made-for-TV horror movies. This is like the first sign that the dude you're playing video games with every night is sizing you up to make a people suit out of you. Okay, obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit, but to violate someone's data and files and stuff to the point that they have to do a whole ass reset on their devices, that's irredeemable. There's no way a person just does that and doesn't know it's wrong. I don't care how maladjusted you are as a human being, and I'm putting human in quotes here, there's no way you go through all that effort without stopping to question if maybe you're being an entire asshole. Let me save you some brain power. The answer is yes. Yes, you are. Like, what do you even do with this person? Well, the obvious answer is get away from that person before they decide to start seeing what else they can slip their greasy little fingers into. This is a person who sees boundaries as obstacles rather than, boundaries. And you can't really talk that away. You're not qualified. And even if you are, that would involve being around this person for more than 3 seconds. I'm good. I was furious. Still am. Our next session was supposed to be this Saturday, but I just couldn't go through with it. I called him and laid it all out, told him I knew what he'd been doing. And you know what this sociopath said? Why does it matter? It's not like it's hurting anyone. I just wanted a better light. Are you kidding me? I've known him for over 20 years. 20 years. And this guy pulls something like that. I'm sorry, but I'm just so damn angry. I hung up the call the moment he said that and made sure to kick him out of every TTRPG group we have. I told every player what he'd been up to, and they're all just as pissed as I am. Maybe even more, honestly. Now, I'm trying to put things back together, fix everything. Thank God I have my notebooks so I can fact check it all, but seriously, who does that kind of crap? TLDR. A player I've known for 20 years has been hacking into my notes, changing past campaign details, and current session notes to make his characters look better, and didn't even care when he got caught. For what it's worth, OP, he did care that he got caught. Because now he doesn't have access to all the sweet fanfics he was writing in your notes. Honestly, you're the real monster here. But OP, my hat's off to you, man. You did it. You saw the problem and you immediately went right to the source and dealt with it. No dragging ass, no hemming and hawing. You saw what was happening, you saw it for the messed up thing it was, and you resolved it. Good on ya. Not many people can say they've done the same. I mean, take a quick look through this subreddit and you'll see that for yourself. Your safety and your privacy matter, and even if it's something as minor as your D&D stuff, no one has any right to be busting into your storage and fiddling around with it. A DM's homebrew world can be extremely special to them, and can be the product of years of work. Having someone waltz in and start shaking it like an Etch-a-Sketch is about the closest you can get to violating a DM's writing. But to you, dear listener, what do you think? Should OP have tried to salvage the situation and maybe the friendship? I mean, it was a 20-year friendship after all. Was the friend's reaction not apathy, but maybe more denial and uncertainty about how to act when confronted? Or was this ship genuinely doomed to sink and OP did the right thing by jumping into the lifeboat and paddling as far away from their friend as possible? Let me know down in the comments below. A huge thanks to everyone watching. If you enjoyed what you saw here, be sure to subscribe for more content. You can also find my main channel in the description. I'd also like to give an even bigger thanks to my supporters on Patreon. You guys are a massive help, and I can't show my appreciation for you enough. I'll see you all next time for another round in the Chaotic Tavern.